Hey everyone, it is Wednesday morning and it is time for Midlife Conversations. We're laughing because it's Nick and I this morning. Hi.
That's not why we're laughing.
And we're laughing because we're doing this in Nick's office. Literally 2 seconds before this was due to kind of go, everything all changed and it looked really weird. So as it was kind of counting down to getting ready to take off, I was a bit like, and trying to cover it by being all professional. So that's what you were laughing at, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's fine. I think I got away with it. It's
No one
right.
noticed. It's all good. It's all good.
So we thought today's midlife conversation is going to be a little bit different. And the clue is in the title, Midlife Conversation. Because I'm aware that I've had some really amazing guests and I've still got loads of guests lined up. So I got a really rubbish one today. Is that what that sounded like? Is that what that sounded like?
Such it.
That's really great. I finished it. That's not what I meant.
That's what that sounded like.
That's not what I meant.
Oh my god, sorry.
No, I meant that I had some really great guests on that I've kind of interviewed, and which isn't the same as a conversation. So I thought today we'd have a conversation. That's
Okay.
right. You're still a very good guest.
I'm cheap and I'm available.
You're not cheap. That's for damn sure. Anyway, this is why I don't get you on very often. And this is why when I do get you on, I make sure that you're in another part of the country, so you have to dial in. So, yeah, midlife conversations.
Right, yes.
So we thought we would talk about just something that we mentioned it a few weeks ago because it was at the very start of our experience, and it was exam stress, and we were talking about Amy, the youngest in the house, is going through GCSEs and all this sort of stuff. It was all pretty stressful. So basically, she has one day left, and that's tomorrow, and then it is freedom. And we thought we'd have a little conversation, clearly not just about her, because that's not fair, but about the whole kind of situation. Because it's really changed, hasn't it? Because it went from the big build-up, oh, the GCSEs are coming, and I'm really stressed, and then the moment, do you remember? She came downstairs, she had a moment, we were watching Night Agent, we had 11 minutes to go, and it was all quite stressful for us, because we only wanted 11 more minutes, and we could have finished it. To sort of deal with that. And then in the midst of all the GCSEs, not only the sort of stress of that, there's been, how should we put it, normal teenage problems that have happened with regards to other people and other people's behaviour and this sort of thing that we've had to kind of take on board. All of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard tiptoeing around it, isn't it, without
Just
saying
say
anything.
it.
What, just say, okay, boyfriend issues and other girls at school not being very nice issues, all that sort of thing. But now here we are, with one day to go.
And now we're being asked different things, aren't we?
Oh my word. It's like there's been some kind of weird transformation has literally happened in the last 48 hours. It's like, hang on a minute. 1 minute you're a baby worrying about, I don't think I know my French. 2, wanting to party, wanting to go out, sudden freedom, sudden demands and expectations. It's like, where did this come from? So we thought we'd just have a conversation about this because we know that, 1, this might be something that you're going through, or 2, might be something you've gone through, and you might have some good little hacks and tips that you can share in the comments.
Definitely. And I think just to sort of elaborate what we're talking about is like she's got her final exam, and then she's asked if she can have some friends round, go in a hot tub, chill out in the garden. Is it all right if she just uses one of the bottles of vodka that we have in our cupboard? Then no one's looking to get super drunk. Just have some. And we're like, what? And I think the thing is, I've got 2 older girls, been through it with them, and it was slightly different. because they spent some of the time in their mum's house and some of the time in our house. And thankfully, most of those partying times were in the mum's house, who's a lot more patient than me with things like that. So it's our sort of first experience in having it. And but I'm sure also as well, they're very smart who they ask and how they ask. So
I got asked, can a few friends come round? And I was like, of course, yeah, of course you want to have friends round and actually, relax. The sun's still shining, go and sit in the garden. That'd be really nice. Yeah, sure. And I thought that was the end of the conversation. I'm busy in the kitchen. And then I hear, Andrea, can you come in here a minute? And I'm like, what's going on? And you'd been asked something completely different.
I've been told that she was going to have some friends round tomorrow, and it's all been fine. Spoken to Mum about it. It's great. And is it all right if I have that one bottle of vodka, in the cupboard? And I'm like, you've spoken to your mum about this? And she went, not that bit. And I think we can see who the easy touch is in this relationship, right? And the girls are so smart. I'm sure all your children know who to go to when they're asking for particular things.
That's a good one, actually. Put in the comments. Who's the soft touch? Is it you? or is it someone else?
Do you know, I think the thing is,
we're all soft touches for different things.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think dads of girls, I'm terrible.
You are terrible. Nice to hear you finally say it out loud.
Oh, they have got me like that.
Yeah.
Buggers.
The rest of the world's going, yaha, we can, there's no surprise there. Yeah, we've all
But it is difficult, because I will say though, on the plus side, one thing I've always said for many, many years, I'm not their mate. So I've got no problem with parenting, and also saying no when no is the right answer. But how do you
quantify the right answer?
When it suits him.
Exactly.
So, but it's interesting though, isn't it? Because again, she's asking about alcohol. And we have, we both parent together and that, but we have our own stances on it, And so, what's your stance?
My stance is my gut reaction was a hard no. No, you're still babies. No, you can't. Absolutely, and that's it. And then yours was not the same.
Well, I mean, what I will say, just because we don't want any comments going, oh my God, Nick, you should support. We do not have these conflicting conversations. It's like we are solid. What's the word? Solid. We have solidarity when we're having the conversations with the children in front of us,
but
and then we will have.
It is pretty obvious though,
a conversation.
That we feel differently about
definitely. So, and I'm of the mind that not that I want them having a bottle of vodka, especially in the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon as well. But what I've said, and we've both agreed, is that I'm going to buy some of those sort of like mixer drinks, which aren't as strong, and they're probably more like Lilt and Fanta with a little bit of something in it. We're going to buy a few of them and let them have a bit of a celebration that it's their final time and their final day and all exams are finished, and then they've been through a lot, they've got through a lot, and they made it, and now they're looking forward to an amazing summer, whatever that looks like. I've no idea. Yeah. And that's my thoughts on it. And also, I'd rather they were doing it here.
I'd rather they were doing it somewhere else.
Well, yeah, I'd rather they were doing it at someone else's house, quite honestly. Yeah. But ultimately, I'm not against them doing it in someone's house under the supervision of the parents, rather than all the parents saying no, then them nicking a bottle of vodka from somewhere
and sitting in the park,
swigging it, thinking that this is awesome.
Yeah, it's so difficult. The thing is, I find it really difficult. Full disclosure, I was a proper little goody two shoes, so I never did anything like this. Well, I suppose now I'm allowed to have. I could have a drink right now if I wanted.
But you are still a goody two shoes.
I'm 53 years old. I can do it. No, I am. But so it's really difficult for me to even get my head around it, because and it wasn't like I was oh no, I couldn't possibly. It just didn't occur to me. It wasn't like something that I thought was bad or good. It just wasn't something I even thought about. So it's a bit, I find it a bit strange. For me, I mean, obviously, clearly you know my mum and dad. You met them. We were out with them last night.
I know them.
You know them. They're very strict. And so the idea would never have even been entertained. So it wasn't worth even thinking about. So I just didn't think about it. So for me, when I finished my O-levels, as it was back then, we didn't do anything. I think I just came home, put Grange Hill on. You know, there was no, why do you need to have a party? Why do you need to celebrate? We didn't have a prom. Now I'm sounding like a right curmudgeon. No. I'm all, the prom thing's very exciting. It's all great. But, you know, not everything had to then be marked with a big old woohoo. It just happened. And then that was it. You just, I went back to work at Freeman, Hardy and Willis. I got more days. Rather, because I wasn't working on a Saturday anymore. Well, it just wasn't a thing.
We most definitely live in different times.
We do.
But, you know, I was a goody two-shoes as well when I was...
It's in full Technicolor now. My day, everything was in black and white.
I forget you're older than me. Tumbleweed. But, yeah, I was a goody two-shoes as well when I was a teenager. And no, I wasn't.
You absolutely
I was not. I was not, actually. No. So that's maybe why I'm a little bit more...
I don't even know if we'd have been friends at school. You wouldn't have...
I'd have tried to be friends with you.
No, you wouldn't. You would not. You would have looked at me and gone, so dull. You would have kept so far away from me. That is a fact.
No, I wouldn't.
You would. When I was that age, I had such bad acne and a perm. And I used to wear jumpers that my granny knitted me. Can you see now why the whole idea of drinking in the park and celebrating, why it didn't cross my mind? Because clearly I thought it never happened. No, I just never got invited. Maybe that's what it was.
Probably that's what it was, yeah. But no, it's interesting. It'd be interesting for you to, you know, is this the sort of questions that your children are asking you right now?
Yeah.
You know, are they saying, hey, Mum, Dad, can you actually go and buy me some alcohol? Where do you sit with that?
Yeah, so
you know,
tricky.
is this something that you've been doing ages and actually
no biggie.
Would rather, as we said, have it happen in your home so you know that they're safe and doing it? And by the way, you know, for full transparency, we are very aware that Amy has drunk alcohol before. We're not naive to think that she hasn't. And she's actually done it on my watch before when we were at an event, and it was a very safe environment, and she was with my two older girls, and she did get a little bit tipsy and had her first experience of not feeling too well with alcohol, which
Where was that? Is that when I went home?
Yeah, but you know this.
I didn't know she had an experience of not feeling very well. Is that what you mean? She really wasn't very well?
She threw up. You know this.
No, I didn't know that bit.
Oh my gosh.
You see, I went home because I got tired, so I left them to it.
This is at a festival we went to.
I literally drove an hour and a half home because I couldn't be doing with sleeping in a tent. So I went home and left them to it and came back the next day, fully refreshed,
and
having
the
my own
children
shower.
were partying and they loved it. But again, it was all in a safe place and everything like that. But this is what I mean. I think, you know, they knew that with me, I was okay with that. And maybe they pushed it a little bit more. I don't know. Or maybe I was probably worse than them. I don't know. You know. But I think the question is...
Do we want to be having this conversation in front of people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we have to be open and honest. And I think this is the thing. We are just like you guys. We will have our differences of opinion and how we parent. You know, we won't always agree on something. So you have to have a way of, you know, agreeing to disagree, whatever you want to call it, you know, but getting to a resolution and also picking which one is no, that's it, I'm standing firm on this, and which one you go, okay, I see your point, you know, let's go with that. So we are no different to anyone tuning in here and listening to this.
You know, and parenting is tough. It is tough. It's actually, I remember many years ago when, you know, my kids were really little, And I remember speaking to a neighbour, and I think one of them wasn't sleeping or what have you.
One of your neighbours went to sleep.
No, one of my kids. And
You're very caring.
I know, yeah. Just pop round, make sure she was all right. And I said, please tell me it gets easier. And she said, it just changes. And actually, they're more of a worry the older they get. And I was like, please don't tell me this. Because, when they're babies, you're checking them 50 times a night to make sure they're still breathing and this sort of thing. I said, what do you mean? And she said, because you can't control everything. Whereas when they're little, you can control everything again. And I really know what she means. As, all the kids have obviously got older. You worry more now because, it's not like you can just say a firm, hard no and, put them on the naughty step or take a toy away if they consistently misbehave or anything like that. Can you tell what kind of parent I've been? You can't do that because they're growing and they're needing to find their way a little bit.
But I think this sort of like leads us on to the next part of our conversation is the fact that, so the children that we have at home, we have Amy, who's 16, so she's now finished her GCSEs or one more day, and we're now talking about her getting a summer job.
Mm-hmm.
That's
really important to me that she gets a job.
Absolutely, and me too. And because she's got something like 10 weeks off before she starts college, which she's super excited about starting as well, which is awesome. And then you've got Sienna, who's 18. She's just finished her college, and she wants to take a gap year. But I keep telling her a gap year is only a gap year if you intend to go to university. And she'll argue with me that she intends to go to university, but I actually think she wants a year off and has no intention.
Of just any responsibility
Absolutely.
whatsoever. Yeah. Can I have a gap year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'd be so good on a gap year.
But she's going through her own, challenges, but she's 18 and partying and things like that. And then you got Tia Lily, who's at university. She works with us as well, and she's off at the moment in Ibiza,
living her best life.
Yeah,
having an amazing time.
But you talk about them going to that next stage, and your neighbour and saying, no, you just worry differently.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We saw, obviously on you got the phone, and you can keep in touch with them with their Snapchat stories and bits and pieces. And I'm watching Tia Lily in Ibiza with her friends the other night. Short, and I'm going, oh my gosh, a few more of them, and God knows what's going to happen. And thankfully, she's with a lovely group of friends. She got home safely, but that's
just your legs are shaking the table.
Sorry, but that's the different stages that we then start progressing through, isn't it, as parents? Yeah. With teenagers.
Yeah. Although, you speak to my mum and dad and they still say they lay in bed worrying about my sister and I, and then plus all the grandchildren. Yeah, now. It never ends. It really never ends.
Is this why most parents love a lovely Pinot Grigio?
Yes. Sod it, I'm getting in the hot tub with a 16-year-old. Out of the way, kids. Yeah, it's just never-ending worry, isn't it? It is. But there we are.
I think the thing is, all we can do is just try and give them the tools and the awareness that they need to crack on with their own journey, and sometimes life has to be the lesson, isn't it? We can't always teach them everything, and also they're not always willing to listen to us, are they?
I think I did a live with Jane Dockerell, who's an amazing coach that we know really well, and we've worked with her and personally, professionally, and what have you. And her actually, she's going to be coming on here really soon, and her skill set is working with families of actually not just teens, young kids as well. And one of the things she was saying was actually our main role as parents, from the moment your child is born, is actually teaching them how to look after themselves. And from a baby, it's teaching them how to self-soothe, and right the way through to adulthood, so that by the time they leave home, if you've taught them how to at least look after themselves and make sensible decisions and understands the consequences of various actions and this sort of thing, then you have to just try and step back. And I think, picking up on what you said, there's certain things that you can teach your children, whether we're really lucky that obviously with the work that we do, that we're constantly educating ourselves in behavior. But and also mixing with people like Jane, who we talk about, instances in our own personal life. But so it's not just about giving the kids the tools. You need to have the tools to start with, because if you only know what you know, and most of the time we parent through how we were parented.
And either the things that we liked or the things that we didn't like, and we did the opposite.
100%.
Which doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing.
Yeah.
But I love that simple way of putting it, that actually our job as parents is to teach them how to look after themselves. And I suppose, and a bit of that on, and to fit into society, isn't it, per se? As in that's how to get a job, be responsible, those sorts of things. But it is to do it by themselves.
Yeah, so my little asterisk to that would be, and you wouldn't think this would come from me, little Miss Goody Two Shoes, is not necessarily to fit into to society. It's to understand how society works and how you work within it, but also have the tools and the bravery in your heart that if there's something that you really want to do that society isn't offering you an opportunity for, to find your own way to do it. Because I've always walked to the beat of my own drum. And I've always kind of done things my own way. So actually, I have always cared, what society thought of me to a certain level, but to another level, I also didn't. Because if I wanted to do something, luckily I didn't want to do things like burn buildings down or anything that was illegal or harmful or anything. But I never just did things because a crowd was doing it or because anyone else was doing it. I've never, ever been like that. If I wanted to do it, I did it. And if I didn't, I just wasn't interested. Funnily enough, I might not have been interested in, drinking vodka behind the bike sheds, but I'd save up money and go backpacking around the world. To me, that's much more of an adventure than, well, I don't want to sit somewhere and get drunk in a park. I'd rather
do that?
I'd rather save my money and go and sit and have a drink in Bali on a beach and learn stuff. So it's not.
I'm up for both of them.
It was just my sense of adventure was different. That's what I mean. So yes, it's about fitting into society, but in a way that is helpful.
It'd be really interesting again just to put in the comments what you think your role is as a parent, because we'll all have our own view. And by the way, it's not about
it's not right
that's
or
right
wrong.
or wrong.
No,
it's
not
just
at all.
really interesting
Conversation
to hear your perspective on what it is, and also if you can, where did you get it from? Was it something that your mum and dad used to say to you that you've just lived by, and so far it seems to have worked, or is it the opposite of what your mum and dad were? It'd just be really, really fascinating. And remember, this is a private group, so it's just for inside this group.
And this sums up actually why I do it inside a private group and not on Instagram.
Definitely.
Just on Instagram Live. To take that one step further, actually, I can remember us having a conversation with these two people. I won't say who they are, but it was our first meeting with them, and they've gone on to become, a part of our network and a part of our gang.
I'm trying to work out who it is.
You'll figure out who it is when I say this next bit. And the man was saying how his whole life is to make his daughters happy.
Right.
And all he lived for was to make his daughters happy. And I knew I was like, I know what Nick's going to say to this, because this is something that we both had discussed and we both believe in. And you leaned across and said, that's not actually your role to make your daughters happy. Your role is to teach them how to be happy in themselves. It's not up to you to make them happy. That's not your job. Your job is to be their dad.
You're taking their power away by being the only supplier of happiness.
Yeah.
It is down to them to find what makes them happy by themselves. You want them to be happy as a parent, but, and again, I think that goes back to what Jane was saying, to look after themselves. And that's the thing. If we, as young children, start seeing that other people have that power to make them happy, sad, and all the other things that we feel, then there's a loss of control that they have over their lives and what they're going to get from it. So it's super important that as parents, actually, we empower them as much as possible to find their own feelings, their own feels.
Yeah.
It's like with love.
Yeah.
They have to love themselves. If they start looking for love in someone else to feel love, that is where a lot of problems will happen in life, isn't it?
Yeah, this is something that we've experienced recently, and what was really wonderful to see, actually, and I don't think we should say which child in the house it was. I'm going to say child, or which of the children in our house it was. Recently experienced a breakup, and which is obviously heartbreaking. And I've never been the kind of person to think, oh well, they're younger, it won't hurt so much. That's nonsense. It cuts so deeply. It doesn't matter how old you are. But what was really beautiful was to see that through talking with us, and then self-realization of actually and there was so much toing and froing with them and the other person and all that, was then the realization of actually, I'm not just going to hand my power over to you for you to make a decision whether you want me or not. Actually, now this has happened, I need to take a moment to think, do I even want to come back? And if I do want to come back, I need to make the decision for me, because it's what I want, not just, oh, thank God they want me back, and now I've not been discarded, or now I'm not. Now it's an actual choice rather than just a falling back in. And it's been really powerful to see, actually.
Definitely. It's important that we teach the children that, if they want to be in a relationship, they don't need to be in that relationship. And
you
that's
should never
so
be
powerful.
fighting to convince someone to stay with you.
No.
Never. If you're having to convince someone that they need to stay with you, they're not the person for you.
If they can't see your value,
they can't see your value. Absolutely.
And that goes for us as adults
as
well.
Totally.
It's like, so it's funny, isn't it, as parents, that you say things and when you're teaching them, and it does remind you that, goodness me, and not necessarily in our relationship, but we might have external relationships where you think, hang on, I'm actually convincing someone to work with me. Yeah. What the hell am I doing that? They can't see my value in working with me, then they're not the right fit.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's actually great just to have those conversations with your children, and then ask yourself, how does that impact me in my life? And just see if there is something that you're doing that you've forgotten about, actually, that you could take that lesson yourself.
And even with friendship groups, if you're always the one texting going, hey, you said we'd meet for a coffee and it hasn't happened yet. Seriously, if they haven't come back with unless, we all get busy and there's genuine excuses. If you're always the one doing that, maybe just leave it. Maybe, to quote whatever film it was, they're just not that into you, which is just heartbreaking and awful, but you shouldn't have to fight for it. And I'm the one, by the way, I'm terrible at getting back to people, and it never means that I don't love them or have time for them. I just look at it and then think, oh yeah, I must reply to that, and then get distracted. So if I've ever done it to you, I'm really sorry. It doesn't mean
I've
anything.
never met anyone as bad as her.
I know.
I mean, literally.
I think I've done things just because I've looked at them.
But it's just so funny. It's
I'm just
so
glad you
funny.
find it funny.
Well,
so endearing.
I've had to accept it because you are who you are. You're not changing, and you can literally have your phone in your hand to go and do something, and then I'm like 2 minutes later, did you send that text? Did you send that text? No. What were you doing? Oh, I just bought something. I just remembered I needed, and I'm like, and It's proper
We've
micro.
run out of toothpicks or something really random.
It's
that's
proper
popped into my head.
micromanaging her sometimes. It's like, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's what makes me so charming. It makes me so charming. But
So,
there we are.
there we are
It is all
indeed.
about mastering midlife and mastering expectations
Yeah.
and managing expectations.
Absolutely.
Actually, don't you think that's what midlife is all about? And relationships is about managing expectations.
But it is. But it's also it's having conversation. When we speak to people I coach, and I predominantly coach men, but I am coaching women, and I've actually got a couple of couples that I coach, and the whole thing's about conversation, but intentional conversation, because in most relationships it's just everything surface level. Hey, how are you? Yeah, good. Yeah, good day at work. Good, great. But dinner? Yeah, fine. Next, and do it again.
That's
And
survival a lot of the time.
we keep repeating because we're super busy, and also we would say that we know that everything's okay, so we don't have to give a huge amount of focus over here because our focus is required over here. But actually, you need to give some focus to your partners, to your children, to yourselves, and check in and say, hey, how's your day? Good, brilliant. What was great about it today? And it just because the thing is, most of our conversations become patterns when we come in, and it's just super important to break that pattern, and also for us to then come out of autopilot when we answer, and then actually go, oh, what was great about today? And then we think, and then we have an intentional conversation. Same with your children, especially the children. How was school?
Fine.
Fine.
All right.
Okay. What was fine about it today? Nothing. Okay. Well, what was bad about it?
We had shepherd's pie for lunch.
But again, it's just breaking that pattern and having some intentional conversation, isn't it?
It is. It is.
But I think what we've done is we've nicely rounded to just sharing where we are with our children at the moment, what we've got going on. And sorry, I keep rubbing my nose, but I've got hay fever.
I know, it's really hay fever
Sorry.
today, yeah.
And
there's a hay fever bomb, apparently.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It was in the papers. That's the truth.
But just share some of your comments with
with
your side of what we talked about and all that, and also if you've got any things that you do that you think, hey, I'm going to put my hand up and share this with everyone, because I think it works for our family, and we've been doing it through all our children. Any of those bits and pieces. But talking of sharing, one of the things that we've been working on over the last few years is, that we've had our group coaching with Inside This Girl Is on Fire, and we've done a lot of one-to-one coaching as well. And one of the things that we have been asked to do is a few more in-person events. And I think most people, whilst we still, watch these Facebook Lives and we have a few online things that we do, the fact that we can go out and connect with people again, it's almost like we're doing it for the first time. It's just so, I don't know, the energy's different. There's just a lot more to it. And we've loved having these conversations. And Andrea loves having these conversations. And what I love is when she does get the experts on, we then talk about it over dinner, and we're constantly learning. But one of the things that we know is mastering midlife is challenging. It's an interesting part of our life where we're supposed to know most of the stuff that goes on, but we don't all it, and that's why getting experts in to share this. So we've come up with a bit of an idea, haven't we?
We have. So it's based on obviously feedback from the whole of the community. Obviously not just Facebook here, but from here, there, and everywhere. And one of the key things that we've been asked is to put on some live events. So we have. And you are actually the first to hear about this. We haven't told anybody about this yet, so you're hearing it first, which is super exciting. So our first in-person event is in London, and it is going to be on July the 1st, which is not long. Was that 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
But
what is it?
It is a workshop, and it is an in-person midlife workshop. And so workshops are something that you incorporate a lot in your coaching, particularly when you're just coaching men. But we're broadening it out, so it's the two of us, and we're going to be doing an in-person group coaching session. But the first one is in London on the 1st of July, and the second one is on Manchester on the 15th of July. They're on Saturdays, because we thought that'd be easier for childcare, and they're from 10 in the morning until 4 p.m. So what does that even mean? Well, first thing we need to tell you is the spaces are really limited, because we're only going to be taking 20 people per session. And the reason for that is going to become really clear. We have done much bigger events in the past and we will be looking to do bigger events in the future where we're on a stage and there's an audience and this kind of thing. But these first two things that we're going to do are much more intimate. So why 20 people?
Well, let's say what they are first. So what is a midlife workshop? You know, one of the things that I found out is when I've been running my men's groups, we've been talking through particular challenges that each of those men that they come into the room with, and just through working in a group together, we've been able to share what we know, learn what we don't, and leave after these workshops feeling so much better about the challenge that we were facing when we first walked into that room, but also got some great action steps as to what we can do to make our challenges a little bit more, what's the word? A little bit more manageable. So we've then been able to ask some great questions from these people that have turned up, and like one of the things that Andrew's been asking inside the Facebook group here is what are your challenges, So we put together a workshop all around, relationships. So these are for couples, by the way. So we'd love you to come with your partners. You don't have to. You can come with, a friend, but we'd love you to come with your partners, because one of the things I tell you about these workshops, and this is what I'm talking about with the men's group, is if just one of you are on that growth journey, then you have to go back and relay what you've learnt to the other person at home, and it doesn't always translate.
Yeah.
So when you're both in the room and you're both hearing things, by the way, you will still hear slightly different things. But when you go home, it's a lot easier to start putting those things into practice, right? To make mastering midlife, and certainly your house and your home life, so much easier. So we're going to be talking about relationship MOTs, what that even means, right? We're going to be talking about the menopause, but from the male and female perspective. Because one of the things that I found is, certainly with a lot of the men that I play golf with, the first thing that they say when they're...
Because you do golf networking.
Yeah. It's the first thing that the men say about their wives is, oh my God, my wife's crazy at the moment. My wife's this, my wife's that. And I'm like, well, hang on a moment, ask some questions. But what I will say in their defense, they don't know what's going on as much as the wife doesn't know what's going on. So it's, how can we learn to work together whilst this situation happens? And it happens to every female, right? And the man is sitting there going, what the hell's going on? So actually, how can we learn together to make that experience a lot easier than what it is for most of you guys out there? And then also, it's all about communication skills. How can we hear each other? How many of you will say, you never listen to me, I've been speaking to you, what are you on about? You just said that. I'm always saying that. So how can we actually communicate better, but also how can we argue better? Now that sounds interesting in itself, but it's fascinating when you start digging down deep on that. And why it's important, because ultimately no one wants conflict in their relationship. You're in there because you love each other. So it's understanding that there are going to be times that you're going to disagree, but how can you do it in a way where it doesn't go out of control? So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, some parenting hacks as well, things that we've discussed before. But we've got some experts coming in on board that are going to help us share some of the things that you can do, especially if you've got a blended family, and understanding what that could look like. But also dating, how to date each other.
Dating inside the marriage.
Inside the marriage, yeah,
or
definitely not outside.
Inside the relationship, yeah.
Definitely not outside, but also how to do that and have fun again, but without rolling your eyes.
No, without the rolling your eyes bit, this is what I put that in as a little caveat. And when we were sort of putting this together, Nick said, "Why have you put learning to have fun again without rolling your eyes?" And I said, it's because it's the first thing that people do when you ever have a conversation about just, a couple learning how to have fun again. One or both of them will go, because it just sounds so prescribed and so blooming tedious. And I totally get it. And everything that we're going to be talking about is going to be done in a very much an us kind of way. It's exactly like this conversation that we've just had today, as in, although obviously clearly you'll be doing a lot of the talking, or most of the talking.
There'll be a lot more structure.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like you're not sitting in a lecture hall taking notes. It's like sitting around a table with a group of people that will guarantee you'll make some friends on that day, and actually understanding how important it is to just have a laugh. I don't know about you, but by the time you get into midlife, there are less and less things that you find funny. Actually, more things, I was going to swear then, really, really get on your nerves, as opposed to that you're able to treat it with a lightness of touch and just be able to have a little bit of a laugh at it. So it's just kind of learning how to reframe things a little bit. What can you do either on your own, either go off and have different hobbies, but at least you have something then to talk about when you come back together, or that you can do together, but not forced fun. Forced fun should be banned. It's never fun. But it's just finding a way that is unique to you. There is no one size fits all for this. That you can learn to have a laugh again.
But what I will say as well is, and just for transparency, we go to couples counselling, but we go to couples counselling because our relationship's good. This is not saying that, by the way, this is only for people that are having problems in their relationship.
Not at all.
If your relationship's good, brilliant. Let's take it to great. If your relationship's great, awesome. Let's take it to amazing, because we should always continually try to learn and improve what we already have, because this is something that Andrew's been saying for years. When you get married, when you say I do, that's when the work starts. And if you've been if you've been in a relationship for many, many years, you have to be careful not to fall into patterns that, stop serving you. So it's how can we take a snapshot of our relationship, look at what's good, look at what's not quite good, and how can we just, give it a little bit of a shake, yeah, and learn some new stuff. But also, if you've got something going on in your relationship that's super working for you, this is why we're doing it in a small group, because there will be some sharing, right? And if you can give someone a bit of knowledge that's worked for you, how amazing is that you can pay that forward?
And it might seem teeny tiny. It might seem so little that you don't even think it's a biggie, but to another person that could be a game changer. And that's what's so good about the groups. And the reason that I really strongly felt that I wanted to put something together that involved both men and women is, obviously I've been working in the female only space for the past couple of years now, and there's so much of the feedback that I've been getting through the various sort of coaching and group coaching that I've done is, I wish my husband knew this, but obviously I didn't offer that for men, whereas now we can offer it for everybody.
So just to finish off, if you think, right, that you're up for taking a snapshot of your relationship and see if you're curious to see that if you can make it better, a little bit more fun, with a little bit more love, in a room with us,
Come and
a
hang
few
out with
other
us for a
people,
few hours.
right, then this is for you. And what we're going to do, we're going to put a link in below. It's going to take you to a site. It will remind you of the dates. So 1st of July is in London. And by the way, it's central London. We won't give you the locations until reservations are made, and then we give it nearer the time. And then on the 15th of July is in Manchester, because we always get told everything's in London. You never do anything up north. So we hear you. We're coming up there. So, and there's only 20 spaces in each one. You are definitely the first people hearing about this, but from tomorrow, we are going to start heavily promoting it as well. Because as Andrea said, the 1st of July, it is not too far away. Price wise, it's £197 a person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, and it's a 6-hour workshop. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a day packed of learning. Just great fun, quite honestly, but also some wonderful tips and tricks that you're going to go back and I guarantee you're going to have an amazing relationship moving forward from that. So I look forward to seeing you all guys in person, and I think that's a great way to finish.
Yeah. Now, the thing that we need to finish with is obviously we'd really appreciate your tips on we have 24 hours. What do we do with a 16-year-old when it comes to the party? Let us know. That's it.
By the time they're watching this, it's going to be almost happening.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's it. Thanks, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed that for today. And next week's Midlife Conversation is going to be with Donna May Clitheroe, who is Donna May London. She is a brilliant makeup artist, but she also has her own product line. We've known Donna for years. In fact, shall we say how Donna's responsible for us getting together? She's the one that put us up on the blind date that we ended up meeting on.
But they can talk more about that next week.
We can talk about that next week. So that's who you're going to see next week. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
There you go.